New York City Airbnb hosts are on the brink of foreclosure, and it's not just New York's Airbnb hosts, but Airbnb hosts in North America. Everywhere we're seeing Airbnb not profitable anymore, right? It used to be if you have an Airbnb rental, you're making more money than long-term rentals. You're constantly renting it out. Yes, it's kind of a hassle because you got to clean it every single time when a tenant leaves, but you're just making so much money with Airbnb, you don't care. People who have 2 to 3 Airbnb properties were easily making a good 6-figure income just by being like a mini hotel landlord. But now it seems like Airbnb properties are no longer being sold. Airbnb is no longer the enticing new thing to get people making money again. And it just seems that the house of cards is finally collapsing. We're seeing a huge wave of foreclosure and things are getting pretty scary. We're going to go over through New York City, then Victoria and British Columbia, Canada, and of course San Francisco and other cities in the US with the Airbnb situation. Not great at all. Check this out. Airbnb host on brink of foreclosure following the city's clampdown. If you guys don't know what's going on in New York City, they essentially passed a law called Law 18, went into effect of September. So essentially, property owners who want to do Airbnb in New York City, they can't do it unless the host lives in the unit that they're renting out, and they can't rent it out to more than 2 people at a time. So basically killing off 85% of the Airbnb properties in New York City, because many people who bought New York City condos, they wanted to do short-term rentals. And a lot of people liked the Airbnb in New York City because yes, hotels are cool, but you know what's even cooler? Very unique stays that are bought by everyday people, right? New York City has some of the coolest Airbnbs before the crackdown. You have like really cool penthouses, really cool townhouses, all for short-term rents. It was a really very profitable thing. And despite other places in the country having Airbnbs being not profitable, Manhattan and Brooklyn's Airbnbs were extremely profitable even to this day. But because of the new clampdown, new rule, you just saw majority's Airbnbs out of the market. And now people who bought Airbnb properties that were making money from these short-term rentals are now on the brink of foreclosure. Because here's the thing, let me tell you guys about New York City property. If you buy a condo in Manhattan, for example, the HOA is crazy high. We're talking about like $800 easy for HOA and another $800 for property tax if you just bought a studio 1-bedroom. Nothing super fancy. So the fees are insanely high. The insurance is very, very high. And not to mention, there's always taxes and other fees that you got paid to the city. New York they're always in their pocket, but at the same time just make so much money. And with long-term rentals, a lot of these guys with the high interest rate mortgage are going to be paying a lot of these properties out of pocket. Whereas before, when they were doing Airbnb, New York City guys, they could easily pay the mortgage and all the fees and everything else and even still have a few $100s left from the property. It was like positive cash flow. But now without short-term rentals, you're going to be seeing a lot of these guys paying out of pocket, which they do not like. And this is why many New York City Airbnb properties are on the brink of foreclosure, and many of them are trying to sell it on the market. But there's so much competition in the market and so much new construction, they just can't compete. And this is why you're seeing really weird units in New York City, like certain condos where they have like a 10-15% off right off the bat because they are so desperate to sell it. And then head over towards Canada. If you look at Victoria, former Airbnbs are flooding the market, but not a single person is buying them. Dozens and dozens of these homes are being listed for sale. It was announced in October that they will be doing a massive Airbnb ban. And now you got a lot of units flooding the long-term rental market, which by the way is causing rents to go down this area. But more importantly, you're seeing a lot of these Airbnb properties being sold for dirt cheap values. This is what happens when a city has more short-term rentals than long-term rentals. When too many people buy short-term rentals just for the sake of short-term rentals, eventually if there's a ban, units flood the market and a lot of these homes become dirt cheap. Because the whole reason why a lot of these Airbnb vacation towns even went up in price was because of Airbnb. But if it's banned, you're seeing a lot of these units going to the market. Nobody wants to do this anymore. And then check this out. San Francisco's Airbnb bookings plunge. And it's not just because of the bad press, But the city itself is also experiencing a pretty big exodus of talent due to a lot of crime. So San Francisco's Airbnb is very unique because you had people making a lot of money, right? Last year, people are at least renting maybe 15 nights per month, which isn't great, but it's better than nothing. It could at least make them break even. And then the year before that, like before the pandemic, people are renting like 28, 29 nights per 30-day period. But guess what? Now, people are saying that in 2 months, they only have about like 1 or 2 listings, 1 or 2 bookings here and there. Many Airbnb guys in the Bay Area are experiencing the same issue. In a 60 to 90-day period, they're lucky if they can rent it out 2 to 3 times. And they are not breaking even at all. They're losing money. These big cities like the Bay Area, they have insanely high HOA, insanely high property tax, and home insurance. Not to mention the utilities are very, very pricey. So these are all very expensive things that's causing Airbnb to drop like a rock. And guess what? Even big hotels can't even make it, right? If you look at San Francisco's Park 55 and hotels, these are the biggest hotels in San Francisco, skyscraper class hotels, 3,000 rooms, recently went into foreclosure because they can't find any people to come rent their hotel. Not to mention the valuation was cut by half. A 3,000 room hotel defaulted on an over $700 million loan. And if that kind of caliber of building can't survive, what makes you think these small Airbnb guys are going to survive? We're seeing Airbnb bookings just not being profitable. And many of these Airbnb homes are finally being listed back on Zillow because barely anyone's buying them right now. And many of these units are having some of the biggest price cuts you'll ever see. Look at this. Sports nights, Super Bowl. You would think every single house will be rented out. But no, a manager of 95 Phoenix Airbnbs is stunned that half his homes are empty over Super Bowl weekend. And this is honestly a big Airbnb bust. Just way too many people doing this, okay? And not enough people renting Airbnbs. At first, Airbnbs had a lot of customers. People love the idea of Airbnbs. And yes, it's cool, but a lot of them still like the traditional hotels. So Airbnbs at first, very profitable. A lot of people are renting them, but not a lot of people are hosts. But now there's a lot of hosts. And can you imagine an event as big as a Super Bowl, where people from all over the country, even sometimes around the world, come to Phoenix, Arizona? You would think at least 90% of the homes are going to be rented out. But no, many other mega landlords are all experiencing 50% vacancies, even in some of the biggest events in the nation, like the Super Bowl. I can't imagine that many Airbnbs empty for an event of this size. And I don't really think Phoenix has any other event bigger than the Super Bowl. Let's be real. So yeah, this is pretty painful to see this kind of stuff. And if you also look at what's happening for other Airbnb guys like Orlando, like a couple bought this really nice property in Orlando. It's a literal 10 to 15 minute drive from Disney World. So of course it's going to be easily rented out, right? Wrong. They fixed it up. They even got a pickleball court, no clue what that is, a hot tub, or I guess a pool, not sure. But the overall building in the backyard was pretty nice overall if you really look at it. What's really weird is they're barely getting tenants. It really doesn't make any sense. You know, you would think when you buy these properties, it's a guaranteed moneymaker. But keep in mind, that's the same idea that thousands of other people are thinking. This is why Orlando, around Disney World, so many Airbnbs pop up, but many of them are just dirt cheap. You can rent them for a very cheap price. It used to be on average, Airbnb houses rent out for $200-$300. Now people are doing like $90, $120 just to get other people to their Airbnbs. And the rising cost of maintaining these Airbnbs is slowly making a lot of these units no longer profitable. So you got New York City and also Victoria straight up banning Airbnbs. And they also have cities like, for example, Orlando and Phoenix, where just too many people are doing Airbnbs. And both sides of the coin is causing one big issue. Many Airbnb properties are now flooding the markets, which is causing many housing prices in the nation to stall and even go down. So thanks for watching, guys. Comment below, like, comment, and subscribe for more.